All right, so one aspect of astrology to really test it out is to, of course, look at people that you know in your personal life, but also look at celebrity astrology and different tendencies in different people that are famous in order to, because these people are in the public eye, so it's a lot easier to kind of see how these different energies sometimes play out for this person. So our first person is going to be Beyonce. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to talk about her general placements, and then I'm going to show you her chart, okay? Now, I do want to give a disclaimer. Beyonce's birth time, a lot of celebrities' birth times, like, it's not verified because sometimes it's really hard to get that information, right? And so with a lot of celebrities, all you have is their placements, like Mars in Libra or Sun in Virgo, whatever. You have to know the exact birth time to know for sure what their moon sign is or what houses. But I'm going to go with this 10 a.m. birth time. I'm going to show you that later. But before I do that, I'm just going to break down. One, she's a Virgo, okay? Beyonce is a Virgo, okay? And so you see a lot of that in just how she, navigates her career, and just how she is very protective over her career, but she's also a perfectionist. And so, a lot of times when people think of Virgo, they don't think of performer. But again, like, you can be any job you want at any sign, but the method in which you go about doing that is going to be different. You see what I'm saying? And so, she even revealed recently in her documentary how she, practiced for like a year before Coachella. And so just that, like, and a lot of just like perfection and just like perfecting her craft and like really going hard. And like, Virgos sometimes can even be extremists when it comes to things health related, because Virgos also relate to health. And so she went on a very, very specific diet, before this and all of that. So she's definitely a sun in Virgo. Her birthday is September 4th, 1981. Next is her moon. So her moon is in Scorpio. And I believe when I looked it up, no matter what you do, like no matter how you plug it in, September 4th, 1981, the moon would be in Scorpio. So how sometimes the moon changes every 2-3 days. So there's some days where if you were born an hour later, you would have been a different moon sign. And so the moon is definitely like how you handle emotions, how you respond to emotions. But with that sun in Virgo and that Scorpio moon, she's definitely a private person. And we've seen a little bit of that change the last couple years when Lemonade came out, when her, and Jay-Z started being really vocal, or just been sharing aspects of the relationship and like his infidelity and all of that different stuff. Because prior to that, their relationship was always an enigma to people, right? People were like, okay, they got married, but they had like a secret marriage, right? This was like, I believe 2000 and I don't remember what exact year they got married, but it was like early 2000s, mid 2000s, something like that. And like, it was very secretive. It wasn't like a big thing, like a lot of people like to share out, share their weddings and things like that. Like, they didn't do that, okay? And so, it's really interesting to see, how she's kind of changed a little bit. She's revealing more about her life and motherhood and her struggles and things like that. And so I think it's like veer away from that perfect image in her as she grows, being more open with different things. So she's definitely a moon Scorpio, especially with the privacy aspect and how deep down. So she has a lot of probably emotion, but she's very strategic about how she shows that emotion. Scorpio moons especially, like, they don't like to be seen as vulnerable. Actually, the moon doesn't like being in Scorpio. And so what you'll usually have there is a person who struggles with emotions and how they show them or how they release them, okay? And so with that, I mean, even thinking about the issue with her and Jay-Z, and people are like, well, she stayed with him. Well, Scorpios can be really loyal, especially when you think of the moon. The moon is your emotions. And so it was more likely than not that she, especially with all they've built together, some people don't leave relationships where there's a lot at stake. But also at the same time, she's going to be committed. Moon and Scorpios can be very committed. But I do think with the moon and Scorpio, there definitely was some type of consequence for Jay-Z. Like, we might not know it as the public, but anyone with the moon and Scorpio, especially her Mars is in Leo, there's no way she just let him get away with that. Like, there's something beneath the scenes that we just aren't privy to, because I definitely think that with the moon in Scorpio, Mars in Leo, like, your ego was, the public, like, you like being seen in a public light in a positive way and being known for like those positive traits, and like that happening really, it wasn't a reflection on her, but it doesn't make good for their image. And so that was something that I think behind the scenes was handled, okay, even though she stayed with them. Another thing about her, she's Mercury and Libra, which makes sense. She's, especially compared to Solange, her sister, who is more vocal, her sister who is a little bit more, she's not afraid to kind of be controversial, you know, even like her music style is very different than Beyonce's. And so she was very open with a lot of different things, even before Beyonce became more vocal about just different things politically and as well. Mercury and Libras, you know, they tend to play both sides of the fence. They don't like to disrupt. They don't like to, you know, they don't like to, you know, come across as being controversial. They like to look at both sides of a situation. And so what you'll know about Beyonce, a lot of people are like, well, her image is very carefully crafted, and, you know, she, you know, a lot of people always complained like she was too perfect. And it's like, well, it's not that. It's, you know, she's very protective. She's the sun in Virgo, and she is a moon in Scorpio. So there's a protective shell around her image. And yes, she does care about how she comes across. And for some people, it might come across as being superficial, especially if her Libra is an ascendant. Her ascendant is Libra, which it could be. Okay, if that 10 a.m. is right. All right, and so Mercury and Libra people, though, they learn through their communication with other people, but they are very careful not to rock the boat too much. They like to, so sometimes it can seem as like they're trying to deliberate between two people, or they're trying to play peacemaker or things of that nature, which you'll see even when the elevator situation where, you know, Solange hit Jay-Z. Beyonce didn't, we don't know what happened behind closed doors, but Beyonce didn't really react in a type of way. She didn't like go after her sister. She didn't go after Jay-Z. She was kind of in the middle. That's a lot with Libra energy, likes that. And so she's a Virgo. I definitely feel a lot of Libra energy with Beyonce. I'm not surprised if she is an actual Libra ascendant, which some people think she is based on that chart. The 10 a.m. birth time. Again, you have to know the exact birth time. It's very hard with celebrities to know the exact birth time. And assuming that a celebrity is giving you the right year of birth, right? Because some celebrities lie about their age and all that. Next, her Venus is in Libra. And so again, I'm only doing her major placements. I'm not doing outer planets like her Sagittarius, her Pluto right now. We're going to look at her chart in a minute. And the other thing is just that she's, you know, very, partner driven. She prefers being in a partnership. Even when she first started out, remember, she was in a group, you know, she was in Destiny's Child. So, I mean, she was a child, when she started, right? They were young teens, when they first started, like young, really young. And then as they got teens and they got their opportunity and all that, but, you know, business, like Venus, like business or romantic, they prefer to do things with people together. And even you see this now in Beyonce's career, where like her and Jay-Z had like a joint album together. They were going on tour together. She prefers partnership. She prefers people around her. That's a Venus energy. I mean, Venus, yeah, this Venus rules Libra, and Libra is about partnership and romance and things of that nature and harmonizing. And so, you know, the only time you really see that Beyonce wasn't harmonizing a lot is with her father after he had the extramarital affair and the child resulted, and, you know, and it seemed like there was some obviously still some discord between those two, most likely because just like, you know, their interactions and what they say about each other online, not negative stuff, but just like it seems like Beyonce has her distance from her father after that happened. So Venus and Libra, she prefers to be in a partnership. So already it was more clear. Now I do think there's a possibility later on in life, if a major transit hits Beyonce's chart, she might change and leave Jay-Z, or, you know, want a different relationship. That happens to a lot of people, not just, you know, celebrities, but right now it's like a Venus and Libra prefers partnership. They prefer to not rock the boat and change things up too much. They don't like, even like Libras can stay in situations for a long time just because they need that companionship, that sometimes they can leave. And so sometimes they can stay longer than they need to be. And so she is Venus and Libra. And then there is Moon and Scorpio. So it's already someone who's probably, it's going to be her Sun in Virgo too. Virgo likes to put effort into things, and like they don't like to feel like they wasted their time. And so all those energies definitely relate to why she would stay in a relationship with marriage with Jay-Z. And then you also have I'm going to do her Mars. Her Mars is a Leo, and this is where we see the creative side of her. Okay, this is where we see though she's a Sun in Virgo, and so there's a protective shell over her, and her emotions, she doesn't really share her emotions very much with people. She's not on Twitter all the time like some celebrities sharing every little thing they do. So she's been an enigma for such a long time, but her Mars is your Mars is your action. It is how do you take initiative? What is your drive? and hers is in Leo. And so Leo is like likes to have shine, and that's where you get that talented part of her where she can dance and sing, and she's, you know, does all these different things. At one point she was acting as well, so like Beyonce has a lot going on, and that's a very Leo like energy, to be creative and be seen for it, not just creative behind the scenes. There's a lot of signs that are, there's other signs that are creative, but being creative and getting the spotlight on you is Mars. And everything she likes to do, she likes to be creative. You know, if you think about like Lemonade and like the album topics, but even, you know, her input with that and her, just the videos and all those different things. So obviously I know there's directors and songwriters and people behind that, but you know, you as the artist have to come with them to them and say like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, she's Beyonce. She 100% has input in what she does and what she sings and how things are presented. And so a lot of these is her ideas. This is how she wants to project herself. And so while sometimes Beyonce might not share everything with you, she does share through how she produces her music, how she puts what she puts out there. The things she doesn't say out loud in a conversation or in Twitter or whatever, she says through her music. And so yes, you can definitely tell how Beyonce feels and does, because a lot of Virgo energy period hides behind action. Scorpio can do as well, because Scorpio doesn't like to be vulnerable, especially your moon in Scorpio, where the emotions are like very deep, but there's a fear of people taking advantage if you let that run too wild. All right, so stay tuned, because next I'm going to show you her astrology chart, going off that 10 a.m. time, which we do not know if that is accurate or not. All right, so again, this is based off this idea that the 10 a.m. birth time for Beyonce, if it is correct, we do not have her exact birth time. There's a lot floating around the internet, so I'm assuming that some other astrologers probably have tested this theory out to see what placements would someone have to have in order to have the type of career and life that Beyonce has, okay? So again, even if this is not her placements, these are her, even if these are not her house placements, these are her placements. She is Sun in Virgo, she's Moon in Scorpio, she's Mercury in Libra, she's Venus in Libra, right? These are all her actual placements. The only question is if these are her actual houses, okay? So I'm just going to briefly go through what it would mean if this is her correct birth time. First thing that stands out to me is all of this 12th house energy here. The 12th house is a very unknown, it's of the unknown. It is going deeper into spiritualism, the collective consciousness, imagination, dreams. It's also about places where some people believe karma, and you know, you can activate some ideas of your past life, and all these different things also can be related to institutions and things of that nature. But just in a general breakdown, if she does have a lot of 12th house energy, that means there's way more to Beyonce than we know, because people with 12th house energy are very deep. They think very deep. And so there might be aspects of Beyonce that she keeps to herself because she has that moon in Scorpio right here. Okay, so the moon Scorpio, okay. So I'm going to first start with the 12th house, not the first house, because I see all of this stuff in this 12th house. What I'm noticing here, Venus in Libra. Now, so though she might value relationship and partnership, she's very secretive about it. There are things she does not want to reveal. And this would make a lot of sense to me, especially here. So if you look at it, it's like this is on this, it's almost in the first house, but it's in the 12th house, which would, which would make sense because she's been very private about her relationship with Jay-Z, even though they're in a very public relationship. So the relationship is more first house. The first house is the image or what you see. It is the self, right? So she's in a very public relationship, but at the same time, she doesn't reveal all. She recently did, a couple years ago when, she made Lemonade and people started putting dots together about this infidelity that Jay-Z, apparently engaged in. But at the same time, they are still kind of secretive. They don't reveal every single aspect of their relationship, and she's a pretty private person as well. Okay, and so this would definitely make sense also here with her Mercury being in Libra. So like, there's a lot that she thinks. If she definitely has a Mercury in the 12th house, she has a lot more thoughts and things that she doesn't actually express. All right, there might be people she trusts. You have Libra energy here, so all these things here, she has a confidant. There's someone that she does confide in about these thoughts that she has, these experiences. If this would be her chart, she would definitely be someone probably interested in spiritual rituals or spirituality. She might even have somebody that is her, that she helps her spiritually. She might go see a spiritual advisor or something. Okay. Saturn here in Libra, there might be, just her trying to figure things out and see what she truly believes. because Libra here is like partnership. So maybe later in life, she becomes more open about these beliefs if this is really her house, okay? If these things are really in her 12th house, all right? I'm not going to go through every single last thing and what this means. I am going to move on. All right. So we have Pluto and Libra. So first of all, I'm seeing tons of Libra in her chart, even though she is a Virgo. So yes, Beyonce is a Virgo, but she has a lot of Libra energy. Okay. So she has that, one, she is beautiful. Libra is ruled by Venus. So we have that allure. And also she's pretty likable. I know not everybody in the world loves Beyonce, but for the most part, she has a lot of fans and she is a pop icon, and Libras can attract that type of attention, because they are, a lot of them tend to have, if they're not good looking, they present themselves very well. They're charming. They typically don't create, controversy or drama wherever they go. Now, some of them may. That's a different type of Libra situation, but Beyonce's not doing that, right? We have the first house, Pluto and Libra. Okay, so Pluto and Libra, this is going to be somebody who is transformative. If it is in her first house, this would mean like definitely her being an icon. Who she is. Think about her coming up from Destiny's Child all the way to Beyonce, pop icon, star, megastar, right? Who has fans around the world. And so Pluto can typically be a very dominating planet. For some people's charts, it can mean someone who is kind of I wouldn't say a bully, but someone who is, very controlling in some aspects, or comes across as a very, serious person. But in Libra, it's going to change a little bit. Okay. So though she might have that effect on people at the same time, especially with work, I have a feeling Beyonce is very specific about the type of work she does. She's very, much a part of her creative process, and she has a lot of different things that she prefers for people to do when they're working with her. But Libra energy is not a very dominating, it's very ambivalent. Okay, so at the same time, she wants people to get along, she wants things to come together in a way that's not causing a lot of conflict. All right, this is Juno and Scorpio. I'm not going to go over Juno right now. All right, and I'm quickly going to go over the next few ones. All right, you see her moon is in, let's see, Moon in Scorpio. All right. So Moon in Scorpio, I already said in the beginning of the video what that means, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But Moon in Scorpio, we are definitely talking about someone who values, has a close, drive. Think about the moon, your inner drive, your inner self, what you truly want. So values, we're talking about possessions. And so she is driven. Part of the reason, yes, she's very creative, but at the same time, like part of her might like accumulating resources, things that make her feel safe, things that make her feel secure, because the second house also deals with security and feelings of stability and things of that nature. All right, so the moon Scorpio here, she is driven. She is very goal oriented. People might have told her certain things wouldn't work in her career, but she did it anyway, because Scorpio is all about your willpower. Yes, it's an emotional, people forget it is a water sign. And so people with Scorpio energy, their emotions run very deep. And because they're so deep, some Scorpio people or energy people are afraid to confront those emotions. And unfortunately, sometimes it comes across in the way they impact other people. But here, it's not really impacting other people as much as it's her drive to make her life secure and her life safe in the way that she wants it to be. Okay. Part of her safety is her being private and her not revealing certain things until she feels comfortable doing it. So a lot over the years, people wanted Beyonce to reveal more about her relationship and everything, but she didn't do it until she was ready to. We also have Uranus and Scorpio. And so again, anytime I see Scorpio energy, a lot of times regarding money, it's typically positive, because Scorpio can be good with business. Even though it's a water sign, that is something that you typically see. Scorpios are good with money. They're good with controlling money. Why? Because Pluto, that aspect of that control piece. But you have Uranus in the second house. And so at the same time, there could be, the way that you make your money changes. She makes her money in it's not a common way. Most people in this world are not music stars, right? And so Uranus can also indicate that in her life, right? That she's very dedicated to what she does, but it's Uranus and Scorpio, and so it's going to be a very unorthodox way in which she makes her money. Third house of communication, we have Neptune and Sagittarius, and so again, I think this helps portray this idea, like for a long time, like communication, like Beyonce was she does care about how she comes across. And because of that Scorpio, I feel like there's more to Beyonce than we see. And she kind of doesn't want to come across as off-putting. So I feel like sometimes she might hide her true feelings, her true thoughts on things, and she will instead put it in her music because she doesn't want to come across as brash or brute or anything of that nature. And so we see this with this Neptune and Sagittarius. Like, she wants to explore, she has a lot of different ideas, but Neptune is about dreams and illusions and things like that. And so in her communication, there's usually a lot of depth in what, that's actually within her under the surface, but she might not always be very direct in how she feels in her communication with other people, and she prefers to let that shine through her music. All right, her South Node is in Aquarius, okay, in her 4th house. Okay, so, when we think about nodes, we think about past lives versus our life now, what we need to do. So I'm not going to go too much into South Node in Aquarius. I'll save that for another time. I also want to look at her North Node, though, in Leo. And so Leo is about external energy. Leo is about the sun. Leo is about shining. Leo is about attention. Leo is about being generous and giving to people that they care about. Leo involves children. So we have North Node in Leo, which would suggest on her spiritual path, she is on the right path to her fulfilling her spiritual destiny, because the 10th house is also career and reputation, and she has Leo there, and Leo is shine, and she is very popular. She is well known. We also have her Mars in Leo, and again, Mars deals with your action, your drive. How do you go about doing things, okay? Whereas Mercury is more about how do you communicate. And so her Mars is in Leo in the 10th house. So that's why she has that work grind. This is a Virgo sun, but then she has these Libra aspects, which are giving her charm, and this Venus energy, which is giving her, people are drawn to her. People think she's beautiful. People think she's talented, all those different things. Mars is her drive. Like, she just won't quit. She's not going to stop. She has a lot of, there's still some goals I believe Beyonce probably doesn't, she still wants to do, even if she's not doing music like she would. Usually I do think even moving forward, like years from now, there's going to be something. We're still going to hear Beyonce's name, right? And so we see Mars in Leo, and this is like her creative direction. She must have direction. I mean, she's not the type of person who's in a contract that she doesn't control herself. At this point, believe it or believe it, Beyonce is in charge of her career. She knows the way that she wants to shine, and she knows the right way. And especially think of Leo involving creativity. So it's more so like she has complete, at this point, creative control over her image and over her career. Okay. This is not someone who's an industry puppet. Like, she's definitely someone who is in control of her career. She knows the direction she wants to go in. She knows, she's able to use her creative talents and not let somebody else make all the moves. And then my last one I'm going to go to is 11th house. Remember, I start with the 12th house with the sun in Virgo. Okay, so, she definitely has this perfectionist quality to her, and she has this quality of being very poised. Think of Virgo energy is a lot of times like knowing how to not come across controversial, knowing how to come across in a way that people will receive you, but at the same time that trade-off is that people also don't feel like they always know you when you have that mask. Now, in this case, we have the 11th house. 11th house is the house of groups and associations, and so when you have the sun in Virgo, this means that in her groups and associations, she's going to stand out. She's going to stand out. If this is her placement, anybody with this, if you're in a group, you're going to stand out. You're going to stand out because for some reason, you're going to come across a little bit better than everybody else. I'm not saying that's what Virgo energy is. I'm not at all saying Virgos are better. I'm saying this placement here, you're in a group, 11th house, group, associations, all right, friendship, things like that. Because of this placement here, this person is going to be perceived by others as, wow, she's so good at this. Wow, she's the best. And you think about the fact that Beyonce was in a singing group early on before her solo career, and she was pushed as the lead singer. She was pushed. Now, obviously, her father was the manager, so I'm sure that has something to do with it as well. But in groups, Beyonce is seen as the leader. She is seen as the one who has it all together. All right. As far as friendships goes, same thing. Like, she might, be someone that people go to a lot for advice. But at the same time, there's definitely a lot of depth. So people who get that other side of Beyonce probably have tapped in to this. Her sun being in 11th house means like she's also someone who is very close to the people, her friends that she does have. She might have a small group of people she actually considers friends, even though she's a celebrity. She has a Scorpio moon. She does not let many people in. But who she does let in, she probably views them in a way where she is able to be very loyal, and she's able to, you know, help her friends in different ways, probably more so in sense of her, you know, giving advice or things of that nature.